Do you love creepy stories that keep you up at night? Do you enjoy spine-chilling tales, both classic and original? Then you're in the right place. I read terrifying horror stories and write my own, bringing you nightmares in the best way possible. I'm on a mission to hit 50 subscribers, and every single one of you can help make that happen. So, if you love horror, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the scariest stories are yet to come, and you won't want to miss them. The laundry man. I always had a strange habit, one that most people found odd, maybe even unsettling, while others fell asleep to the sound of rain, white noise, or the murmur of the television. I found comfort in the deep, mechanical hum of machinery. Washing machines, dryers, anything with a steady, rhythmic motion. The sound wrapped around me like a cocoon, a lullaby that soothed me into slumber. When I moved out on my own for the first time, I found an old house for rent. It was cheap, a little too cheap, but I didn't question it. The landlord mentioned something about its age, the quirks of old plumbing and the occasional draft, but I didn't mind. It had character. Tall, creaking walls, narrow hallways that seemed to lean inward, and doors that never quite shut right. But the best part? The basement. It had a laundry room, a real old-fashioned one with large industrial machines, the kind that roared when they ran, filling the entire space with a deep, steady hum. From the moment I turned them on, I knew I had found my sanctuary. I could sleep perfectly with the comforting noise vibrating through the floorboards, drowning out the eerie silence of the old house. For the first few weeks, everything was perfect. But then, the noises started. At first, they were faint, soft, almost unnoticeable, just little shifts, like fabric rustling when the machines weren't in use. I ignored it. I told myself it was just the machine settling, pipes creaking, or laundry shifting in a pile. Then it became more distinct. I'd be lying in bed, the sound of the dryer humming below me, when I'd hear it. Something separate, something out of sync with the mechanical rhythm. A slow, deliberate whisper of fabric brushing against the concrete floor. It wasn't coming from inside the machines. It was outside of them. I told myself it was my imagination. Maybe a loose shirt had fallen onto the floor. Maybe the ventilation system was shifting something. But as the nights passed, the noises grew more deliberate. I would hear the sound of fabric dragging, slow, measured, like something shifting, repositioning itself. One night, I heard what sounded like wet clothes slapping against the wall. Once, twice, then silence. I stopped sleeping as well. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But a part of me knew better. Something about the way the sounds moved, the pacing of it, felt intentional. Then I started seeing things, shadows where there shouldn't be any. A flicker of movement in the corner of my eye when I passed the basement door. The way my laundry would shift positions overnight, as if someone had gone through it. One night I was lying in bed, the dryer humming below, when I heard something different. A shuffle, not the whisper of fabric this time, a heavier sound, a footstep. My body went cold. I sat up staring at the floor. The machine was still running, The comforting white noise still filled the house, but beneath it, I heard something moving in the basement. Slow, deliberate. I squeezed my eyes shut. Ignore it. Ignore it, and it will go away. But then the footsteps started up the stairs. I snapped upright, every muscle in my body locking in place. The sound was unmistakable. Something was coming up from the basement, one step at a time. Dragging, not quite human. I reached for my phone with shaking hands, staring at my locked bedroom door. The footsteps stopped, right at the top of the basement stairs. Silence. I stayed awake the entire night, not daring to move. I didn't hear anything else, but I knew something had been there. The night I saw it. I avoided the basement after that. I started going to a laundromat down the street, letting my clothes pile up longer than usual, just to avoid going down there alone. But one night, I ran out of options. It was late and I had no clean clothes left for work the next day. I told myself I was being irrational, that it was just a trick of my imagination. I needed to get over it. So I forced myself down the stairs. The air was heavy, stale. The light flickered weakly, casting long, reaching shadows along the walls. I avoided looking into the corners. I loaded my laundry as fast as possible, keeping my eyes down. I hit start. The machines roared to life, their deep hum vibrating through the floor, settling into my bones. And then I felt it. That distinct, suffocating awareness. Like something was watching me. I turned, my breath catching in my throat. The laundry pile in the far corner was shifting, slowly, subtly. I stared, my body locked in place. The clothes seemed to breathe, rising and falling in a motion that was too slow, too deliberate to be caused by air or gravity. Then they began to lift. A long black shape stretched upward, forming something humanoid. The clothes draped over its body, shifting like a second skin, molding to its form. A head tilted, as if noticing me for the first time. I couldn't breathe. The figure took a step forward. The sound of fabric dragging across concrete sent a shiver through my entire body. It didn't have a face, just blackness. Layers of clothing twisting and shifting unnaturally, as if something underneath was trying to break free. And then it reached out. A long fabric-wrapped arm, fingers stitched together from different garments, extended toward me. I tried to run. I tried. But the moment it touched me, the world melted away. The illusion of death. Pain. Raw, unbearable pain. My skin being torn away, my bones unraveling like thread. My vision filled with flashes of horror, my own body twisted, broken, crumpled on the basement floor. The sound of my own screams echoing back at me. I was dying. I knew I was dying, but then it stopped. I was standing, whole, untouched. The creature hadn't moved. It had never even truly harmed me. It had just made me think that it had. And that was worse. I stumbled back, choking on my own breath. The laundryman didn't follow. It didn't need to. It had already done what it wanted. It had shown me what it could do. I ran, I left the basement, locked the door behind me, and never stepped foot down there again. But it didn't matter. It was still there. Even now, I hear it sometimes. The whisper of fabric shifting in the dark, the occasional creak of a step when no one else is home, the soft rustling laughter. Because the laundry man doesn't kill. He doesn't need to. He just lets you think that he does. And sometimes that's worse.